welcome back to the British and Irish Eagles podcast. And I have managed to successfully navigate the Red Stream technology as we are unfortunately without Phil Mount Stevens today as he has a bout of flu. Won't go into the details of which. Sounds similar to what I was struck down with prior to my trip to LA, which maybe I'll touch on a little bit later on and give you guys some insight on what it was like down there in San Diego and Los Angeles. But lucky you've got an Irishman and a Scotsman, so get your translators out for this podcast. Mr. Tony Bruton, how are you, sir? We've got to win!
Hallelujah! Praise the Lord! We're back, although I'm not sure exactly how much we can take from that game, given how bad the Raiders were. But it's great to have you back on the pod, Liam, after a couple of weeks of absence. Everyone needs to remember that you may have just heard a Teams call coming through there for Liam. He's right in the middle of his working day at the moment. So, I appreciate you coming and joining, given Phil's unfortunate demise, given his illness this morning. So shout out to Phil. Hope you're fit soon and back on quick, brother. Liam, tell me this. You have this amazing blessing of getting to quite a lot of games. And I'm not jealous in the slightest. But one of the kind of key questions from Sunday I've got from you was there a palpable difference in mood at the tailgate pre-game to kind of during the game to then after the game? You know, has there been a mood shift in Philly?
Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard one. It's a hard one to answer. I went down to the tailgate a little bit later this time around because the weather was atrocious. We had 6 to 8 inches of snow fall overnight at our house. And I had my first snow shoveling experience in America in the morning. It's tough, not gonna lie. I didn't have a fancy plow. It was just me and a shovel. Katie helped, I should hasten to add. So we got down there a little bit later. We donated 2 of our tickets to Eagles Autism for this weekend's game. It felt like a good one, and they went to a good home, which is fantastic. So got down about 2 hours before kickoff, spent an hour at Philly Sports Trips tailgate, handed over the tickets and had a couple of drinks. It was actually quite good. I only had 1 drink before we went into the stadium, which if anyone knows me is pretty shocking. The atmosphere was good. I mean, it was cold. It was freezing. We were in a heated tent at Philly Sports Trips, which is the only way to do it if you're going to go to a snow game in Philadelphia, where the real feel was as low as 6 degrees Fahrenheit at one point during the game. But I felt like the atmosphere in the stadium was pretty good before kickoff. I felt like people. I think if Kenny Pickett hadn't been the quarterback, it might have been a bit different. But I think knowing that Kenny Pickett was the quarterback, and this kind of goes back to your point about how much we take away from this, and I do have answers for that. But I think people kind of knew this was going to be a win, with in the back of their mind if we don't win, that's it. Like there was no denying had we lost that game, the season was over. Even if we scraped into the playoffs, the season would be over with the people we had fit and playing, even without Lane Johnson, with the team we have, the squad we have, going against Kenny Pickett on a team that is clearly kind of tanking, albeit they have a Hall of Fame head coach in Pete Carroll and a good running back and not a terrible defense. Atmosphere is pretty good. And we scored early, which is something we haven't done a lot this year. When it comes to scoring touchdowns early, we've scored 3 points early in games before. We've gone 3 and out more often than not early in games before. And I think as soon as we got that touchdown, I need to try to remember if we went 14, we certainly went 10-0 up. We would have went 14-0 up because we were 31-0. But it was pretty comfortable. I actually left with 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Me and Katie left because the weather was shocking. We wanted to get out and get home. And that was how comfortable the game felt. We'll get into the good, the bad, and the damn right section. I thought the atmosphere was good. You may have seen online certainly was all over the radio and WIP last week. Them asking the Eagles to cheer the offense when they came out rather than boo them, a little bit like they did with Reese Hoskins, the Phillies baseball player, a couple of years ago, which worked wonders. I wouldn't go as far as saying there was a huge cheer when the offense came out. I don't think that happened. But there wasn't any boos. Although the guy sat behind me said if we go 3 and out in the first drive, he was going to boo. And I was like, come on, man, like, don't do that. But he didn't get the opportunity because we scored. It was a feel good game, Tony. I was just watching a Rich Eisman, I was going to say sketch, but like a reel, the Rich Eisman show, and he starts it off by saying, I spoke to you Eagles fans a week ago and I said, relax, relax, relax. The pieces are still there. Some teams need a get-right game. And I was thinking about coming on this podcast and saying this was a get-right game for the Eagles, but I'm not there yet. It was a good game. We did what we had to do. People have not everyone has blown the Raiders out all year. They are historically bad, but like they've been in close games with good teams, given that was normally with Geno at quarterback helm, but they don't have a bad team. They got some playmakers on defense. They got some playmakers on offense. Ashan Genti is no joke. But they did what they had to do. Like, they blew them out. Like, they needed to beat the crap out of them, and they beat the crap out of them. So, we put our second string in at the start of end of the third, start of the fourth quarter. You cannot ask for a better performance than that, short of putting a 50 burger on. We probably would have done had Jalen and the first team stayed in the game. So, if you can look at it retrospectively, and if you can look at it through the eyes of what you were thinking on Saturday, and I told you, Tony, we're going to blow them out 31-0. We're going to be resting our starters in the fourth quarter. You and I think everyone would have bitten your hand off and said, all right.
Taking that in a heartbeat, yep.
So it's tough. I'm kind of on the fence, kind of like, taking Phil's mantle here a bit. I want to get on this podcast and tell everyone it was a get-right game. But I'm not there yet. I need to see how we perform against the Commanders. I'm not worried about how we'll perform against the Bills. I had that down as a loss before the season started. They're in a bit of a drive to make the playoffs, going into their house during Christmas time when it's freezing. Not many teams, no matter how good you are, can go in there and win. So
that one's a free hit.
It is.
They've got everything, absolutely everything to play for. We'll have clinched by then. Decisions. The key decisions for us in advance of that Bills game. If things go the way that we hope they will this weekend, and either we win or the Cowboys lose, we're not going to fall into fourth seed, and we'll come on to where we think we're going to land a bit later on in the pod. But I think the key decision for us is, who are we going to rest against the Bills? It's a free hit. We probably won't need to win it. If there's niggles or there's slight injuries, we can make decisions as to who we sit.
That's true. Good point. Sorry, I hadn't quite considered niggles and injuries. If the starting lineup is fit, I'm playing my starters.
For sure.
We lost 3 in a row before this game. We need to get some momentum going into the playoffs. No matter how talented this team is, I don't think we're good enough to just click it all of a sudden into gear in the playoffs. Like even last year, it was around this time of year last year where we started picking up and started playing good football. We weren't.
I was going to make that point. Yep.
We weren't playing great football. There were people who were saying it's 2023 all over again in 2024, the same way people have been saying this year it's 2023 again instead of 2025, If we win 3 of the last 4, including the Raiders game, I feel good about our chances of making it to the NFC Championship. Getting past that, I'm not there yet. I need to see how the next few games roll out, But look, in synopsis, in summary, I thought they did everything they could do. I thought Jalen was good. I thought Elliott Shore-Parks giving him a B was incredibly harsh on his ratings. I thought Jalen had a really good game. I thought it was funny that AJ Brown dropped the ball at the start of the game. but then I realized that it was actually a PI and he couldn't have got to it anyway. As good as it could be, Tony. I'll get off my soapbox now. I've been off for 2 weeks. Thanks for letting me take the floor there. What about you? I'm interested in your thoughts. Was it a get-right game? Did you see enough to believe more in this team? What are your thoughts?
I don't think it was a get-right game. A get-right game is where you have an absolutely flawless performance against, a mediocre opponent. And I think we were near as damn it to a flawless performance, but the Raiders were not a mediocre opponent. They are a poor tanking opponent. And I think that's where your trepidation comes from when you're normally pretty optimistic about the prospects in the future and how we've played and so on and so forth. If anything, I'm maybe a bit more effusive. I think it was a confidence building game. I saw, and we'll get on to it with the good, the bad, and the downright sexy. I saw glimpses in Jalen and a cohesiveness in the offense where, okay, the Raiders defense may not have been up to the likes of a Packers defense or a Seahawks defense. However, you take what a defense gives you, and I was delighted to see Jalen's performance. I thought he was exceptionally good. I think it'd be a very harsh appraisal by ESP. I thought our defense continues to be absolutely outstanding. And lest we remember, we've still got Lane Johnson to come back. We've still got JC to come back on the defensive line. So I think there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic coming out of that game. And I wouldn't class it as a get right. I would class it as a confidence builder.
Yeah.
And I think this weekend, Saturday night, is going to be another opportunity to build some more confidence. I think, as I've said, the Bills is a free hit. And by that time, it might be done and dusted. We might be fixed in the 3 seed anyway by that time. And we can use the opportunity to get healthy where we need to. So I don't think we can, take a huge amount from the game, apart from the fact we executed brilliantly. And I think it's symptomatic of the good, the bad, the indifferent, where when we were putting the notes together and discussing those, Liam, we were kind of struggling for bads and have kind of clutched at a few straws to at least have something to talk about. And I think we could have gone longer and harder on the good. But for the sake of a sharpish pod, let's move on.
It's great. Yeah, I was just reviewing the Raiders last game while you were chatting there and listening to you and looking at the stat line as well for the Eagles Raiders game. Raiders only lost by one score to are they the number 1 seed in the AFC at the moment, the Broncos? If not, they're certainly the 2 seed.
Yeah, they're the one.
And they sacked Bo Nix 3 times. As you say, they're not an elite defensive unit, but they're not a bad defensive unit. Without Geno Smith, their offense is different. There's no doubt about it. Kenny Two Hands is not a starting quarterback in the NFL. Sorry, bud. I haven't seen enough for you to prove me wrong there. But also a couple of things. There's a few things here, Tony, and some of this is not on the notes. One, there's been a lot of talk about the playbook and the offensive play calling and the differences in this game versus the rest, with a number of people touting the question of who is the offensive consultant that they're using, all of a sudden. Now we know.
Can I just come in there, Liam? Evidently, that whole Eagles coaching room, from top to bottom, side to side, inside and out, they listened to the pod last week. And they must have listened to Phil and I, because a load of the things that we were talking about that we wanted to see from that offense in particular was included last week. Now, I'm not going to take a whiff or, a victory lap on that.
Take a whiff.
But the checkdowns, Jalen was reading the field. He was taking his checkdowns. He was taking his easy throws. He wasn't playing hero ball. The routes were conducive to making first downs. nice long runs. Jalen started running the ball.
He did.
7
And
runs.
running it
When was the
well.
last?
Running it well as well.
He did. So
that cut on the outside that he had to make to get around that defender, like there's not many quarterbacks in the league who can do that.
Correct. And what that forced the Raiders to do was put a spotter on Jalen again. And all of a sudden, you're taking a man out of the defence to spot your quarterback, and he's beginning to use his dual threat. And this is what I mean, Liam, about it was a confidence builder. It was like, oh, well, maybe actually we are.
It's possible, right? It's certainly that they can do. Yeah, that's awesome. So that was one thing I wanted to raise up. And another thing that I saw the other day, and I guess maybe he got more snaps in the fourth quarter because I wasn't there, but did you check the split count between Saquon Barkley and Tank Bigsby? Saquon Barkley 22 carries, Tank Bigsby 17.
Yep.
That's now. Look, maybe most of those were in the fourth quarter, but still, that's and similar yardage, 3.5 per carry, which is probably 0.5, 0.7 shy really of where you want it as a minimum. But we have got still a banged up offensive line, and they are, even though they're playing, they are still carrying some injuries. Another thing that I noticed quite a lot was Darius Cooper being played again more than Jahan Dotson in some of the earlier, even in the first and second quarter, which I thought was really interesting, and I think a real big insight into the role that I think he's going to. I still think AJ Brown leaves next year, and I think the Eagles will have a room of Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, Darius Cooper, plus a early round draft pick in the draft. That's still my opinion, but he can play an AJ-esque role. I'm not for a second saying he's anywhere near as good. He's clearly not. And there's a lot of progression to make there. But I thought it was noteworthy to see his continued progression. He was my dark horse, or whatever one was at the start of the year. He was one of my shouts to make an impact, I think, at some point. I'll have to go back and listen to the pod. I still think he make an impact. I would not be surprised if we win the next few games, Darius Cooper's involved somehow. So that's interesting. It's good to see Dallas Goedert getting 2 touchdowns. Should have had 3. Worst drop of his career. That's one in the bad, right? We don't need to say it again. Just so you know, that's one in the bad section. I'm pretty happy, Tony. I'm pretty happy. I'm contemplating going to Washington on Saturday. I haven't made any decision on it yet.
You've got to do it. You've got to do it.
Not far, is it? It's not far.
$40 in the Amtrak, mate.
Right, that's what you did, right? All right, I gotta get to that. I'm very maybe I will do it because tickets will be cheap. So I kind of going around the house a little bit here, but it's just really,
it's a fun chat. It's such a nice place to be that we can just shoot the shit and talk about a win and a comfortable win, being able to leave a few minutes into the second into the fourth quarter as the second stringer coming on. Just one thing about Tank Bigsby. I tell you, see, when that guy is running downhill, he just seems to be able to pick up speed in a way that Saquon can't. And some of his cuts, Liam, geez, man, he is a player.
Yeah, he's a starting running back, in my opinion. He was before he left the Jags. The only reason they let him go is obviously Travis Etienne was playing better than they thought he would this season, and they've got that guy Tootin, the rookie
who's now injured.
Yeah, he got a few yards this weekend. Did he get injured as well?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
But yeah, so I think it was a bad move. I think Tank's a great player. It's harsh on Shipley, because Shipley looked good in the playoffs last year. He looked good in preseason. But I guess they just see Tank as far, far superior.
First world problem, right?
On a 1-year deal? Is Tank on a 1-year deal, or have we got him for more than one? Let's check that out. I think we might have him for more than one.
Not quite sure. Just whilst Liam's looking at that, let's quickly run through some of the key game stats. First shutout for the Eagles since the 2018 blowout win against Washington. So it's lovely to see a big fat donut. Some historically bad offensive numbers for the Raiders, but quickly running through the Eagles numbers: 204 yards through the air, 183 on the ground, Raiders, dearie, 75 yards total offense, their lowest since the 1960s. And time of possession, this is an incredible stat. We had 2/3 of time of possession, so 40 minutes to 20 minutes. If we can continue to do that, defense getting off the field quickly, offense holding the ball, no one is going to want to come to the link in the playoffs. So what we're going to cover off, the good, the bad, and the downright sexy. Now, we've covered off quite a bit of that already, so we'll probably have a whiz through that. And we're going to have a bit of fun at the end of the pods in terms of Liam and my predictions as to how the NFC is going to shake down. So we're kind of at the business end of the season. Everyone's got 3 games left. Everyone's had their bye weeks now. NFC West is looking ferocious. NFC North is looking as if the wheels are potentially falling off. And Liam will just take us through a couple of other parish notes in a second. NFC South is a basket case, and the NFC East could get wrapped up this weekend. But we'll have a bit of fun just predicting how the NFC will close out and who that will mean the Eagles could play in the first round of the playoffs in the wild card the weekend of the 9th and 10th of January. Liam, did you find out that answer on Tank?
I did, yeah. So we have him through the 2026-7 season as well. So
nice.
He's here for another year. I don't see him going anywhere unless we flip him for a draft pick than we traded him for. And of course, when we're getting to that game at the end, Jaden Daniels, I'm pretty sure, is still out. He re-injured his elbow. So gonna maybe need you to have a little look at the injury report, Tony, in a minute while I'm rattling through some stuff to get an update on Jaden.
I think I can probably give you that. Jaden Daniels, it would seem as if the Commanders are sitting him for the rest of the season.
Right, I thought I saw that.
So it's pretty much going to be 2 games against Marcus Mariota, and then that game sandwich in between against Josh Allen and his Bills.
It's funny playing 2 of our old backup quarterbacks 3 times in the last 4 games of the season in Kenny Two Hands and Double M. All right, so let's get to some of the parish notes, and it is with sadness, that we have to talk about a couple of these things, because no one likes to see anyone go down injured, and unfortunately, fortunately for the rest of the league, but unfortunately for Patrick Mahomes, he's gone down with an ACL and LCL tears. He underwent surgery on Monday. I do believe it was successful, and he is on the road to recovery. I think it's very optimistic for anyone to imagine Patrick being back for the start of the 2026-27 season. I would imagine he would miss at least the first 4 to 6 games, perhaps, of that season based on the timeline of these injuries. And it is the first time, I believe, in 25 years, it might be even longer, that there is no Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, or Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. So the changing of an era. What that post didn't have was Jalen Hurts on there, because, I put him in that category these days, So unfortunate news for the Chiefs and for Patrick Mahomes. It's not been a great year for them. There was also, I think it was the game before last where Travis Kelce dropped that ball, and you kind of knew that was the end of his career as well. It's the end of an era, Tony. For the Chiefs. Mahomes is not. I can't believe Mahomes is going to play back and come back next season, halfway through the season, and lead them to a Super Bowl. I would say that it's a rebuild year for the Chiefs next year. Unfortunately, as well, a Philadelphia, Pennsylvania native in Micah Parsons, formerly of the Dallas Cowboys, suffered a torn ACL. It's awful when you see these plays where there's non-contact and you see the knee bending out. He's out for the rest of the season and potentially. So I've got a feeling Micah Parsons is going to come back quicker than Mahomes, just because he's such a physical specimen. But he's also out for the rest of the year, which highly damages Well, the Chiefs are pretty much out. By the way, can I just say I called the Chiefs not making the playoffs about 5 or 6 weeks ago.
You did, and they are officially eliminated, so they are out.
And I do believe at the time I had a few raised eyebrows at my prediction.
Take your whiff. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. Liam O'Neill has entered the building. Jalen Hurts is elite, and I called it.
I love it. There was more injuries as well. I believe the linebacker for the Ravens went down, who's been playing well. He's a rookie.
Devontae Adams as well.
Devontae Adams went down with a hamstring injury.
Hugely damaging for the
Rams.
Could
be hugely damaging because he's been under the radar, I think, this year a little bit. He's been playing fantastic. Puka Nacua is the best wide receiver. He might be the best player in the NFL right now. In fact, I'm going to put it out there. I think Puka Nacua is the best player in the NFL right now.
Could be.
He's already got 1,400 yards and about 700 touchdowns this year. And with Devontae Adams out, it doesn't seem to matter. Like, you can't stop Puka Nacua. You just got to try and contain him because you can't stop him. Lots of injuries. Obviously, the positivity bunny was stabbed ruthlessly last week, never to be seen again. Thank the Lord. I wanted to be on that part of the podcast because that was just ridiculous. Let me pose something to you here before we get into the Loch Lomond ad read and the good, the bad, the damn right sexy. Do you think that Nick Sirianni has been one of the reasons for the play calling turnaround in the last week?
That's a hospital pass of a question, Liam. That is singularly the most provocative question that you've asked me in the last 6 weeks on this podcast. I don't know. Is the simple answer. Something's changed. Yeah, I
do know he's been more. It's been confirmed he has been more heavily involved in the offensive planning.
I would love to think so. That's as far as I'm going to take it. I would love to think so because I savaged Sirianni a couple of weeks ago in the pod. I went back to my he's a cheerleader and not a very good one at the moment days. But I said it last year and you made me quite rightly eat my words. I would take no more pleasure than anything in the world to have to eat my words again. I hope you're right, Liam. I hope he is. However, something's changed. Something's changed, and I just hope that continues, and maybe we see a bit of an extension of that playbook, and Jalen taking advantage of some new looks, some new pre-snap motions, and we can open things up a bit in a way that we've just not been, and executing better as well.
I'm going to make a call right now. It's not a bold call. I'm not talking Super Bowl or anything like that. I think the Eagles are going to revert back to the way they have been playing against Washington this Saturday because I think they're keeping the playbook open for when they play the Bills. That's my thought. Brian Steffi, who I spent some time with in San Diego and LA, believes it's all a ruse. It's all about getting competitive advantage for the playoffs, which is kind of what they did towards the end of last season and in the playoff run. The playbook that we saw from Kellen Moore in the postseason was not the playbook that we saw in the regular season. That's Brian's call. I'm not completely on board with that conspiracy theory.
I'm not there. I think that's optimism that's Liam O'Neill optimism on steroids, mate.
But I'm not completely cold to it. I'm not roasting my hands by the fire with it, but I'm not completely cold to the take. So we'll see how that. Shout out to Brian for hosting me up in beautiful San Diego. We'll see how it goes out. All right, let's get to our premier sponsor, Loch Lomond, for Mixed Dulcet Tones. If you haven't got yourself a bottle of Loch Lomond whiskey for a friend, family, or loved one this year, what the hell are you doing? Go and listen as to why you should.
Celebrate victories, rally through challenges, and bond with fellow fans as you toast with a dram of Loch Lomond single malt whisky. From tailgating gatherings to watch parties at home, Loch Lomond whisky becomes an essential companion, enhancing the moments that make football so extraordinary. It's the perfect accompaniment, from the joy of victory to the bittersweet moments of defeat. Loch Lomond offer a wide range of malts with their flagship Perfectly Balanced and signature expressions Inchmoan and Inchmuren to suit any taste palette. Celebrate greatness on and off the field this season with a perfect balance of Loch Lomond whisky and Eagles football. From the first pour to the crowd roar. Fly Eagles fly.
Go Birds. Tony, what do you got for me?
I was just with you saying go and get yourself a bottle of Loch Lomond whiskey. I was just along at our fabulous e-commerce team with the famous Wilma, who will have signed many people's bottles as they've been getting sent out to our competition winners and those of you who have bought. Now, remember, we have an offer on at the moment for British and Irish Eagles members and PSI members. The discount code is in the newsletter that Phil sent out a couple of weeks ago. If you have mislaid that, make sure you ask us. It's 20% off everything up to and including Loch Lomond 18, Glen Scotia 18, some fabulous Christmas presents. Now, that team in my ecom function are churning their way through 200 orders a day at the moment in the lead up to Christmas. And I said to Wilma, I said, I'm going on the pod tonight. I'm going to promote your function. Are you confident you'll get things out for Christmas? And then, and Wilma, in only a way that Wilma could do, she kind of looked at me as if I was the most stupid man on the planet, and she just says, "Bring it on, Baldy, bring it on." So there we go. It's a test for Wills and the team in ecom. So go and grab yourself an extra. Yeah, God love Wilma. We love her.
Shout out to Wilma. Love that. Love that. I have a couple of bottles myself in for Christmas. Tony, a couple more to give out to some of our friends as well. So thank you for bringing those over along with the chocolate delights that you always do. Oh, I popped by Manish's tailgate very, very briefly on Sunday. Just fleeting visit. Manish wasn't there. I think he may have already gone inside. I was there about 35 minutes before kickoff. But I said hello, and I do remember the name of your friend. He said he was talking to you that morning.
Bob?
Yeah. So we had a little embrace before we went into the game, which was nice.
Oh, absolutely adore Bob. Salt of the earth of a boy. That whole gang at that tailgate, when we get over next year for what will be a phenomenal Birds Fly Home, I just need to take everyone around and meet my dear friends from Philly. And I'm delighted to hear that you went along, Liam. You know that everyone's always welcome along there.
Oh, they're always amazing. They gave me a hug and asked me what I wanted as soon as I arrived. All right, good, the bad, the damn right sexy. So I'm going to go through this really quickly because I want to get to the game and finish up pretty shortly here. We talked about Dallas Goddard's drop touchdown. What are you doing, Dallas? My nanny could have caught that. Even if she was using a Zimmer frame, she probably would have still caught that. Worst catch I think I've ever seen dropped in all my years of watching the NFL, not even the Eagles. I don't think I've ever seen a worse drop catch than that, ever. So, but look, you got 70 yards and you pulled it back 2 touchdowns. You made some good grabs. So, we'll put you in purgatory. Tag Bigsby on there for a drop as well. What is it with the Eagles and the drops? Hooper DeJean's 15-yard unnecessary roughness call, wiping out one of Brandon Graham's sacks. It was rough. So Coop, you kind of have to go in the bad, call him this week. But don't worry, he'll be back in the good next week, as I think he's a number 1 or number 2 knicker quarterback in the league right now. Number 1, in terms of stats. Thanks, Tony. Tyler Steen continues to get flagged. I am not confident that he is our answer at right guard moving forward long term. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Eagles dip in the transfer market, the draft and the free agency market. Just in general, the O-line hasn't been great this year, and he's been part of that, and he's one of the biggest changes. So stop with the flags. But there's a few flags in general as well for the team. But to be honest, Tony, not a lot to write home about in the bad column, smashing 31-0 in. Dallas Goedert's in the good and the bad because he had obviously the 2 touchdowns and the 70 yards reception. A shout out to Jalen Hurts. I know we talked about it already, but 12 for 15 for 175 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns, 7 carries for 39 yards, utilizing his dual threat ability, Tony, which you've been asking for and calling for, and so have many in the Eagles Kingdom. Eagles Kingdom, no more Chiefs Kingdom, is there? The last couple of weeks. So, let's give him his flowers. Let's give him his Sirianni flowers. I'm not going to talk too much about it because you talked about it already, but some great deep balls again to AJ and specifically one to Devontae Smith, who, in my opinion, might be the best deep receiving catcher in the NFL. I just think he's unbelievable. Noteworthy, there was a couple of there's been a change in the dynamic between AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts in the last few weeks. You would be silly to not notice it. AJ's been defending Jalen. There was a play today where I can't remember if it was AJ, not today, obviously Sunday. Can't remember if it was AJ or Jalen coming off the field, and the other one came up and proper bigged them up and gave them a high five and a smack in the shirt and chest. You weren't really seeing that with those two specifically a few weeks ago. So whatever it is, they've either aired it out or they've decided that they, for the betterment of the team, they need to be treating each other with more respect. So that's good to see. I know that's not in the notes, but I'm having that in the good column as well from an attitude perspective. Brandon fucking Graham, Tony, just pass it over to you for a second to talk about BG. What you asked me about the atmosphere in the stadium. So Brandon Graham was the last player to come out of the tunnel. I thought it was going to be Cooper DeJean because they did all the defensive linemen, then they did the season the cornerbacks. So everyone went Coop, and I forgot about BG. He came out and everyone went mad. The 2 BG sacks, the whole stadium just started dancing. The atmosphere was amazing when BG got the sack.
I just think he's such a talisman for us, Liam. He brings great juju at the dressing room. He brings something else to the field. I love the man, and I don't think my heart will be able to cope when he retires again.
I know, again.
Two sacks, thanks, Coop. It would have been 3 if it wasn't for your stupidity.
Yeah.
Tackle for loss, just an energy for the old guy to bring to the field. I just love Brandon Graham.
I don't know whether Brandon Graham might come back for another year,
Who knows?
If he plays like he's playing now, just do it.
He's got juice. He's still got that juice. He's still got that determination.
He said his 4-week training camp was over before this game, and then he goes out and gets basically 3 sacks. I mean, come on, BG. I fucking love it. Playing a defensive tackle as well.
I know, exactly. One of those sacks up through the middle. Just superb.
Do you know what? I don't know why I haven't done it already. I'm going to get myself a BG jersey.
You've got to.
Yeah.
You've got to.
I don't know
he
why
fits every single category of the jersey buying criteria.
I might get a white one, a white Graham 55. Or because I bought a couple of Kelly Green, not Kelly Green. I've got loads of Kelly Green and I've got a couple of Midnight Green. I'm low on the white and
black.
Black BG would be good as well.
Black BG 55. I'm not sure we're allowed to say that in this current woke climate, but
Black 55 years old. Name's Brandon. Looking for long-term love. Anyway, all right.
Talk to me about your boy, Liam. Talk to me about Mr. Nakobe Dean.
Oh, God. I'll take a whiff. Let me take a whiff in Nakobe Dean. Definitely, I've been in the minority for a while on Nakobe Dean. I certainly was at the start of the season. Another shout out to our friend Brian Steffi. At the start of the season, I said Nakobe Dean is going to come back and he's going to be one of the biggest impacts for the Eagles this season. And he laughed in my face. Said there was no chance, not with Jahad Campbell or Zach Bond, not with the way the team have been playing, his injuries, etc. In my opinion, he is the standout player on the Eagles roster right now. If you're going to put Cooper DeJean, you can make an argument for Mario Jomo with 5 sacks on the season. You can make an argument for BG recently. Go ahead, Tony. What was that?
Q as well.
Q as well.
We've got an embarrassment of Richie's back there.
We do,
but listen, this isn't in the notes, Liam, but I'm going to have to poke it about.
Yeah.
You there's a few of your takes that I roll my eyes at, right? But you popped a very subtle take into the chat that wasn't picked up on by many, that I thought, you know what, you could have a point there. So all the chat on the WhatsApp was all about, can we keep Campbell, Bonne, and Nakobe Dean? It's a luxury. It's a first world problem, but you can't afford all three of them. What do you do? And you rolled in with your take. Share and discuss.
Moving Jihad Campbell to edge,
That's the one.
allowing Dean and Bonne to be the linebackers. Yeah, I think it's the logical solution. I think all Jihad needs to do is put 10 pounds on. He's got the same physical attributes and size as Micah Parsons. I'm not saying he has the same raw talent, but he certainly has the ceiling to get there. His floor is a lot lower than Micah's, but his ceiling is, it's got to be up there with his physical attributes. And I like Dean running downhill. I like him running downhill at pace to pressure the quarterback and to stop the run. I think that's where he's most effective at. He's rapid, quick when he does that. And no one seems to be able to stop him when he does. So give me a bit more of bulk on Jihad Campbell. Keep him. I'm paying Dean. I'm not letting Dean out of the building. I'm sorry, Milton Williams, you had a great year, but what I'm seeing right now from Dean, he gives the defense juice. He gives them juice. I know Zach Bond does, but so does Dean. Jihad Campbell, I know we spent a first-round pick on him. But he has 0 sacks this year so far. Nakobe has 4 in 6 games. Jihad Campbell is still, I think, the 12th or 13th or maybe the 18th ranked linebacker in the league on PFF, and Nakobe's 30th or something, and Zach Bond's 2nd. But Dean's only had a few games under his belt. His pass rush is unbelievable, and I would much rather keep him rushing from where he is than move him to edge. I would move Jihad Campbell there because I don't think you're right. I don't think we can. I mean, there's a world, even how well Jordan Davis is playing, there's a world where I keep a Jomo and Carter, and I let Davis walk so that I can pay Dean. There's a world where I do that. Now that's harsh because he's having his best season for the Eagles so far, but I don't think he's having as much.
Jordan Davis has been absolutely outstanding.
He has. It's harsh.
And actually, he's come out of a bit of the Jalen Carter shadow over the course of the last few weeks as well. He has been outstanding. I tell you, how he's got a job and a half to do in the coming off season.
Good job. I don't know how that goes up, and he's locked Hurts in already.
Yeah, indeed, you're right. Let's move on.
Yep. No, you're right. Mario Jomo, already talked about him. Just sensational. 5 sacks on the year, leads the Eagles in sacks. However, Nakobe Dean has nearly caught him in 6 games. Anyway, I'll get off my Nakobe Dean soapbox here. Look, Global Play of the Week. We've got 3 options here. Tony, why don't you take us through them all?
Okay, we've got 3. I watched the All 22. First time in a while I've watched that. And I was looking all over the place for something that really got me out of my seat. Going to give you 3 options, Liam. One was a bit of a, if you can class the first drive in the 4th quarter as garbage time, but an absolutely beautiful feather pass over the middle from Jalen to AJ Brown to score a 27-yard touchdown. Which is great to see Jalen taking an option down the middle. Fantastic catch, a bit of coverage, and into the end zone. How about the interception from Zach Bonne? Open the second half. Bonne peeling back into coverage, fronting Brock Bowers, the Raiders tight end, reached up, snatched the ball. Brilliant athletic play. And your man, Nakobe Dean, coming up to take down his former teammate from Georgia, Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers had a bit of a rough ride, two of the plays against him. It was only a 1-yard loss, but it was the Raiders' opening drive. It set the tone for the defence for the rest of the day. So there's your 3 options, Liam. Unless you've got any else that you would like to throw into the mix. AJ's 27-yard touchdown, Jalen's pass, Zach Bond's interception, Nakobe Dean knocking the shit out of Brock Bowers.
I mean, you could make an argument for BG. You could make an argument for the pass to Devontae Smith. as well. I'm probably not going where you think I'm going here, but I'm going to Kobe Dean because I just think the tone that's set for the rest of the defense, like you said, and they never recovered from it. They got 75 yards. Like, they never recovered from it. So, would I love to give it to AJ Brown? Sure. Zach Bonds had it loads. Brown's had it loads in the past. Let me give it to my boy Nakobe Dean coming back from injury, making a great play and setting a tone for what was a dominant win for the Eagles.
Happy with that.
Nice. All right, Tony, we got a game to play before we wrap it up. I'll let you explain.
We do. It is called the NFC Shakedown. So Liam and I got together a bit earlier on this evening for me and this afternoon for Liam, and we said, it's about time, with how tight things are in various divisions across the NFC, for us to just play a little game, have a little prediction, have a look at every team's schedule for the last 3 games, and from that deduce where the 7 playoff spots are going to come from. So the current standings are the Rams are the number 1 seed in the NFC, Bears are the number 2, Eagles are number 3, the Bucks are the number 4. They have a 7-7 record, as do the Panthers, but the Bucks have the head-to-head with the Panthers as it currently stands just now. So I think, for the purposes of the game, we're just going to say that the NFC South will be in the 4th seed, and they won't have anyone else making
disarray, aren't they? I mean, Panthers, I never thought, I hope in hell they would make it. And the Bucks, are they like 7-7 right now? Or? Bucks are
7-7. To be fair, in the Bucks, they've had a few injuries, but actually they seem to have regressed since a lot of their
I saw Baker's interview.
Came back.
Baker
so
was not happy.
You've got Godwin back, you've got Evans back. Just the wheels seem to have fallen off. A lot of Bucks fans that I know are incredibly unhappy with Todd Bowles, and particularly on the defensive side. And Bowles is meant to be the defensive genius. So Bucks are currently in 4th. Seahawks are an incredible 11-3 record, find themselves in the 5th seed. 49ers in 6 on a 10-4, and the Green Bay Packers are 9-4-1 in the 7th place. So what we did was we went through the Rams, the Bears, the Seahawks, the 49ers, and the Packers, and we had a look at their schedule for the last 3 games of the season. We made a prediction, and therefore we then finalised where we thought the rankings were. And it was actually a really interesting exercise.
It was fun.
It was a great wee exercise. So I'm going to run you through very quickly how I see those 5 teams closing out their season, and then Liam will run you through his, and then we'll each individually take you through our final 7 seeds. So I have the Rams, who are at the Seahawks, at the Falcons, and versus the Cardinals. I had them going 3-0. The Bears, who are at home to the Packers, away to the 49ers, and against the Lions. Tough close out to the season for the Bears. I've got them going 1-2. The Seahawks, critical matchup this weekend against the Rams. In fact, it's Thursday night football, could be a barnstormer. They're at home to the Rams, then they've got to go to Carolina to face the Panthers, and then final game, they've got to go into Levi and face the 49ers. Again, another huge divisional matchup. 49ers go to the Colts this weekend. They're at home to the Bears, home to the Seahawks. Packers have got the Bears away from home. They're at home to the Ravens, and then they finalise the regular season away to the Vikings. So I have the Bears going 1-2. I have the Seahawks going 1-2. I have the 49ers going 3-0, interestingly. And I have the Packers going 1-2. Liam, where did you have those 5 teams?
Yeah, I love it. I was just doing some colouring in while you were chatting there to try and make it easier for myself. And while I do that, why don't we do a rudimentary appearance for Mr. Amos?
Yay, Amos!
Hey,
long time no see, buddy.
All right, so I didn't plan it this way. All right, this is not the way I drew it up on the board, but this is the way them dice fell. Okay, So I have the Rams losing to the Seahawks, and I have them going 2-1 with victories over the Falcons and the Cardinals. Although I just have a sneaky feeling that the Cardinals might just make it tough for them. I just have a feeling. But I think they'll still win. 2-1, I have the Rams in their remaining 3 games. Bears fans, close your ears. Not that many listen to this podcast, but there is a couple in my team who may. I have you going 0-3 down the stretch with losses to the Packers at home, which will be hard a pill to swallow, as well as at home to the Lions and at the 49ers. Unfortunately, it's a very tough run-in. And while I think you're going to be a very good team next year, I just don't buy it yet for this year. The Seahawks, I have going 2-1. Of course, that win against the Rams I just mentioned. They're going to beat the Panthers, who God only knows are in the playoff hunt. But they are going to lose to the 49ers. I just want to bear that result in mind here for a second. And then for the 49ers themselves, I have them going 3-0. I have them beating the Colts because Phillip Rivers, while I love the story, cannot push the ball downfield and is relying on short and intermediate routes, which will mean they'll be easy to scheme up against. And I never bought the Daniel Jones vibe anyway. The Colts, I think their record has plummeted in the last few weeks. I already mentioned that the Bears would lose to the 49ers in one of their games. And I mentioned that the 49ers would beat the Seahawks, which means the only team I have going 3-0 of this list is the San Francisco 49ers. The Packers, I have them beating the Bears. As I alluded to earlier, I had them losing to the Ravens, but I could very easily see them winning against the Ravens. And I had them beating the Vikings. I have them going 2-1. I just think they're going to lose one of those games. Could well be the Bears instead of the Ravens as well. So what that means is I have gone for the Rams to go 2-1, the Bears to go 0-3, the Seahawks to go 2-1, the 49ers to go 3-0, and the Packers to go 2-1. Tony, what does your predictions mean for your 7 as the season ends going into the playoffs?
So this is where the twist comes in. Our predictions mean for me that the Rams will go 14-3 and they'll get the bye, they'll get the number 1 seed. The Bears and the Eagles finish the season on 11-6, but unfortunately, on the head-to-head, that loss at the Link a couple of weeks ago means that we will sit in the 3rd seed and the Bears will sit in the number 2. Bucks and Panthers, as we've already said, will fill the divisional winners in the number 4 slot. I've got the 49ers finishing the season 13-4. I do not want to face the 49ers. I think they are a dark horse. Seahawks at the 6th seed, 12-5, and the Packers make up the numbers on 10-6-1. And that means, Liam, that I am predicting a wild card home matchup against our nemesis, the Seattle Seahawks. Where did you land?
So, because of the 49ers winning all 3 and the Rams losing 1, and because of what that means is I have 3 teams in that division finishing on 13-4. The 49ers finishing 13-4, the Rams finishing 13-4, and the Seahawks finishing 13-4. And because of head-to-head records, which is split with the 49ers and the Rams, the 49ers, if my predictions roll out, will mean they will have the best NFC, their division record, which means I have the 49ers as the 1 seed and taking the bye into the playoffs, which I don't think anyone thought was going to happen, nor me, at the start of this process. But here we are. I had the Packers winning 2 and the Bears winning none, which means, sorry, Bears fans, that means you go down to the 7th seed with a record of 10-7, meaning the Packers get the 2 seed, 11-5-1, being half a game ahead of the Eagles, who I have going 2-1, winning both Washington games and losing to the Bills. I could see the Eagles winning all 3 and taking the 2 seed, which would change things slightly, but that's not how they fell today. The Bucks and the Panthers, as we said, were the 4 seed. The Rams, because of that, because of the head-to-head record of the 49ers and the divisional record, are the 5th seed, which is wild. And the Seahawks, with a 13-4 record, are still the 6th seed with the Bears at the 7th. So that is 49ers 1, Packers 2, Eagles 3, Bucks or Panthers 4. By the way, it'll be the Bucks. Rams 5, Seahawks 6, Bears 7. That means I also have the Eagles in a completely different way, playing the Seahawks in a home tie in the wild card round with the 49ers getting through on the bye. And I think that means that the winner of that game would then play the Niners in the next round, or would they play the winner of the Bears and Packers?
Not necessarily, right? So let's just extrapolate things forward.
Let's do it.
So in our predictions, so my prediction would be that the Bears would have a home tie against the Packers, Eagles would have a home tie against the Seahawks, and the Bucks or the Panthers would have a home tie against the 49ers. You are similar but very different. You also have the Packers and the Bears, but a different home field advantage. You've also got the Eagles, Seahawks exactly the same way as me, but you've got the Rams going into either Carolina or Tampa Bay. I think regardless of the way that shakes down, Liam, whoever goes into Carolina or Tampa Bay, whether it's the Rams that you have or the 49ers, whoever goes in is going to win that game. I think that, well, obviously the 1 seed gets the bye. I think the number 2 seed, regardless of whether it's the Packers as you predict or the Bears as I predict, with home field advantage, I think they win that wild card game. I think we beat the Seahawks. I don't think the Seahawks are all that. Jackson Smith and Jigba is obviously having a wild season. Defense is good. I think we've got a really good matchup with the Seahawks. So in my world, I've got the 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed, and 5 seed going through into the divisional round. I think you would probably have the 1, 2, 3, and 5 going into the divisional. That being the case, the 49ers, for me, the 49ers go into SoFi and face the Rams, and you've got the Rams going into Levi to face the 49ers, which means we have an away tie. For me, we're away at Soldier Field. For you, we're away at Lambeau.
I'd rather be away at Soldier Field.
Yeah, I think I think it's a good matchup we have. We just had a shitty day against the Bears.
49ers playing the Rams in the other game would be brilliant.
It's wild.
It's wild,
right? That's for me. That's an NFC Championship game, but I just can't see it happening. It's wild, Liam. Both of our predictions. You've got 3 13-4 teams.
Yep.
And I've got 3 coming out the same division with at least 12 wins. That's bonkers.
It is crazy.
So I'm going to say, Liam, this is a huge jump of optimism for me. I think the NFC Championship is going to be Eagles at the Rams. Eagles going to SoFi. And I have to say that's where my optimism finishes. And I think we lose to the Rams in SoFi.
That's where I'm at. Not often we're always on the same page at the end of a podcast, but
indeed,
that's where I'm at now. However, if the 49ers turn the Rams over, I think we beat the 49ers in the NFC Championship.
I think that's a possibility.
But I don't see us beating the Rams in SoFi.
So that could be twice in 2 weeks that you're down in Santa Clara and in Southern California then, yeah?
Well, I will not be able to make the NFC Championship game this year.
Why?
Because I have a work conference in Orlando on the 26th of January.
It's just a Mickey Mouse event.
Unfortunately not. I've already broached it with my boss. That conversation ended swiftly.
Wow.
So I will unfortunately be flying down to Orlando on the day of the NFC Championship game.
Well, I will not be at the NFC Championship game either, Liam, because I am absolutely skint.
Yeah. Well, my plan is I should hopefully be able to purchase all 4 tickets for each of the playoff games. So my plan would be to sell all 4 tickets for the NFC Championship game to fund my trip to the Super Bowl if we win. That would be the plan.
Interesting. Because do you get preference? No, you don't get preference on away tickets, do you?
Oh, sugar, no, they wouldn't be. We'd be away, wouldn't we?
We'd be away.
Oh, I wouldn't be able to sell those. But would I be able to sell? Oh, I probably want to go to. Well, that's just scuppered my plans.
Sorry, mate.
That's okay.
Say hi to Mickey for me.
Rams are going to lose all 3. 49ers are going to lose all 3.
Start believing it into being.
All right, good stuff, Tony. We are at 1 hour and 33 seconds on the clock. Trees are a small forest. It's a good Irish joke. Billy 12 Trees also played for England once. Anyway, we are the British and Irish Eagles. Tony, that was a really fun game. Thanks for jumping on. It is snowy here in Philadelphia, Newtown, Bucks County. We are keeping ourselves warm. I wore 2 long johns, a pair of boxers, and tracksuit bottoms to the game on Sunday, along with hand warmers and the like. So pray for us in our weather out here, and I'll pray for the drizzle to abide in Scotland, because I've no doubt it is raining where you are now. I'd be surprised if it isn't. Look, we got a good game, another get right game, another confidence builder game, which is more apt to what we were saying about this one against the Commanders before we go into a challenging game against the Bills. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing how our predictions for the final 7 spots in the playoffs bears out. Excuse the pun. Tony, it's been a pleasure. I'll mention again, get on Loch Lomond Whiskies, whether it's gin, whether it's whiskey, whatever you want, get on there, get your presents for the Christmas upcoming. You will not be disappointed. No one ever is. And yeah, we'll wish a speedy recovery to Phil, and I suppose a pleasant night's sleep for Mick with all of his children. And we'll leave you there. Tony, it's been a pleasure, my man.
Always, mate. Always.
It's been a while. What do I say? Do I say go birds or fly Eagles fly? I say go birds.
You say go birds.
All right. Well, we'll leave it there with a good go birds.
Fly, Eagles fly.
Let's go.